All right. Good morning.
Good morning. How are
Good
you?
morning, everyone. Well, this is episode 5 of Destinations and Conversations, interdisciplinary podcast for the U of R. I am Julian Cline, plumber, and I am here with Bill Bergman, marketing professor at the U of R. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you, sir. I'm not even going to pretend like I know much of anything when it comes to marketing. I have ideas. I was listening to Philip Kotler, as a renowned voice. His book his textbook is well known. Good, bad, I'm not really sure. But he was talking about, I was just wondering, he was bringing up just recently, commercial marketing versus social marketing. And I found that very interesting, for many different reasons. And I don't know what you teach, by the way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what your class, what you do in your 17 weeks or whatever.
Okay.
But I was wondering, what is your take on this social marketing?
So a couple of thoughts for you on that.
Yeah.
One, Philip Kotler is sort of the grandfather of marketing. And when I took principles of marketing almost half century ago, he wrote the book.
Yeah.
And now I teach principles of marketing, and it's the same book with him as the author. So he's got to be in a nursing home somewhere, with all due respect. He's very smart, very good. I'm not sure I know what social marketing is. I think there's social communications. There's marketing of not-for-profit organizations. There's political marketing. There are all kinds of marketing. So, it's hard for me to put all these titles onto these different forms of marketing. I think marketing's all the same. And, when people tell me, like you did, that I don't know much about the field, then my first question to you is, what kind of toothpaste do you use?
Right. Exactly.
What do you use?
Pepsodent.
Why?
Supposedly, it's good, sensitive. It's been clinically tested by somebody to be extra sensitive on my teeth and gums. Supposedly.
So when you were growing up, what toothpaste did your parents buy?
Oh, I think it was either Crest or Colgate.
Not Pepsodent.
No.
Okay.
No. I'm sorry. I said Pepsodent, didn't I?
Yeah.
That's a denture thing, isn't it?
Colgate.
No, it was Sensodyne.
Yes, Sensodine's new, and it's good. I use it.
Sensodyne.
See, I think marketing is all around us, and we're all part of it. There's no great science to it. You have an iPhone, that's marketing. You have an iPad, that's marketing. We have several students who work at Apple on iPad from the University of Richmond. So I think marketing is more it's a sales-based function, and it tries to create attention for you to recognize a product and then buy it.
Yes.
Whether that's a social mission, or that's a financial mission, or a profit-driven mission.
Right. No, agreed. And it's funny you say that, because I really thought about Philip Kotler. I thought he should be in a retirement home as well. Because the book was like 67.
Oh yeah, that's when I took it.
And this video was like 2019.
Yeah, no.
And I was amazed. Because I didn't know how old he was. I was just putting numbers together in my head.
What's so fascinating to me, not to bore you to death, but here we are from a textbook in 67 to 2025, and no one has made a shot at changing those basic principles. And trust me, they've changed.
Yes, that's kind of what I was trying to get to as well, and I just thought it was a good end. And yes, sir, I feel that marketing is kind of what you said. Like, I believe that people can and this goes back to Bernays, by the way, or Walter Lippmann, by the way, Woodrow Wilson, by the way.
Yeah.
Marketing can be, ideologies as well as toothpaste, but then I think. And this, you're the professor here, that obviously, here's a question.
Yeah.
What is a brand? And, it's I know, and I don't mean that as smart, like kind of, because it's so many things these days.
I tell this to my class, and they're always, it is the most misused word in American marketing. You will hear it all the time. What's your brand? Blah, blah. A brand, you can define it with one word: promise. It's a promise. Amtrak says, I'm going to get you to Washington, D.C. in 90 minutes, and when it takes 4 hours, they break that promise.
Right.
And so, can you say Bill Bergman has a personal brand? I don't think so. Can you say the University of Richmond has a brand? I don't think so. It has so many brands to so many different people. Can you say Apple is a brand? Yeah.
Right.
So it basically is nothing more than a promise. It's just it's a product or service or social organization saying, I promise to do this.
Yes, sir. And I hear you, because I've been just doing a crash course of marketing just to talk with you and and be able to to kick the ball around. I still feel that marketing is bigger than just commercial marketing. And that's where I find the use. I mean, the use of psychology. Do you guys, teach a little bit of psychology?
Of course.
Okay.
Marketing is really the integration of most business. If you go and look, I haven't looked recently, but if you look at the number of people that work in marketing in this country, it's like 20 million. If you look at the number of people that work in accounting in this country, it's under 1 million. Right. If you look at the number of people that work in finance in this country, it's like 6 or 7 million. I don't know about economics. I hope it's more than 2, but I'm kidding. It's not 20 million. So more people in America who work in American business work in marketing in some way, shape, or form. The thing that makes it pretty interesting is every company defines it differently.
Yes, sir. And by the way, you're not saying anything boring. It's all educate. Well, for one, you're educating me, and I feel you might be educating other people that watch this.
Sure.
And so, if you find it boring, just stop the tape. Whatever. That's cool, because I don't mean to jump around. I was listening to branding, and it's a popular word from 15 to 20 years now, at least 15, I guess. And I thought of it back, as symbols myself.
Yeah,
right. Or what you would do to a cow.
Right.
But symbols nonetheless. A symbol that people would notice and see.
A spider.
Right.
Richmond, but that's not a brand.
Okay, because see, that's where it seems like it started from.
It may have started there, but a brand basically says, what does that spider promise?
Right.
What is it? What does it deliver?
No, I like your answer. I really do. I do.
I've worked on it for a long time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's a good answer. Yes, sir. It's making me think. I just, I've now just thinking back to what I was just listening to. That was all about this evolution, because the way the brand sounds to me now is like everybody has to live the brand, to sell the brand, to it's almost a very
that whole integration came about in the 80s at Northwestern University, where they started creating interdisciplinary media, where all the media have to work together to get one message out. integrated marketing communications. And that's so impossible to do. You can't possibly do that today with so much social media, so much media availability. The opportunity to have that all integrate and work together is very difficult. Few people do it. Apple kind of does it. Nike kind of does it.
Right.
Pepsi kind of does it. But you know how much money they spend?
Right.
Billions. So unless you have a ton of money, your ability to make the brand come alive at every point of consumer contact is virtually impossible.
I understand. Yes, sir. I thought it was very interesting. It sounded cultish to me.
Well,
but I mean, you know, I'm a standoff kind of guy any which way.
Yeah, it's worked for Trump. I mean, it's kind of worked for him in his properties and things like that. You may not like the brand, you may not like the promise, but it delivers.
You're right. That's right.
So.
No, that's right. That's right. No, I agree. I was thinking about to Woodrow Wilson because he was at a dilemma beyond World War One, but there were different political ideologies going on that we were not necessarily winning the war of ideology.
Right.
And you know, he got two very brilliant men and a couple more, don't get me wrong, but two extremely brilliant men to market democracy.
FDR did.
Right.
Reagan did.
Yes.
And all these leaders were masters of the media that was popular at their time. Kennedy was able to master television, while his opponent Nixon wasn't. Reagan was able to be more of an actor and really take the integration of media and utilize it. Obama brought sort of the movie star, stardom, celebrity into the world of politics. And Trump, to his credit, understands social media.
He does. I agree.
Much better, and that's where the Democrats struggle, is on social media.
No, I understand. And on message as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
So,
because that's what we're still part of marketing.
Oh yeah.
Is a message, a promise. Though I like the promise. I think that's nails it on the head, really, and that's. Thank you. It's fabulous. Yeah. But there's still a message that you have to construct a story
to deliver the promise.
That's right. That's right.
The other thing that's happened is that the channels of distribution have changed so dramatically. Where it used to be I'd go to the grocery store to buy food, and I'd go to the drugstore to buy drug supplies, and I'd go to the department store to buy clothes. The direct-to-consumer Amazon world has changed all of that.
True.
And that's changed how products market themselves to consumers.
I bet.
Dramatically. And you've seen the rise of companies like Bombas Socks and Warby Parker glasses, and of course Amazon, and so all of those, that's probably been the biggest change in marketing in the past 10 years.
I agree, and that does make me think more of a logistics question right now. Then are people then trying to, I guess, where like the Super Bowl was a big marketing time, and you pay a lot of money for your 17 or 30, a minute long commercial. You pay, more than most companies could even put forward to have that time because people were watching. Is that same kind of thing now shifting to Amazon?
A little bit. I still think because I was there when Steve Jobs and Apple introduced the Macintosh on the 1983 or something Super Bowl.
Right.
And I don't think the Super Bowl commercials today they're better than they used to be. The problem is your attention of advertising on television is, and the credibility you put in that is not as high as it used to be. And so because you don't You hang around at a Super Bowl party, but you're not paying as much attention to the advertising, and don't trust it as much as you once did.
Right. Right. Now that is interesting.
Yeah, that's a problem.
It is a problem.
Yeah.
Because and this is my own personal view of the world right now.
Uh-huh.
I'm not asking, I'm just going to, it's funny that you say that because I feel like the world is becoming and has been since, the 40s, maybe the 30s. And so we're talking about 80 years now, becoming more totalitarian and just our cultures and things. But at the same, so you would think that maybe through marketing, and maybe
I think marketing's. I don't know if it's marketing. The media is causing that, and the media is so fractured. I challenge you to come to one of my first-year seminar classes sometime.
I'd love to.
And sit and talk to freshmen, because if you say to them, "Do you watch TV?" they go, "No."
Right.
If you say to them, "Well, what do you do?" Well, I just look at my phone. Well, the phone today. If you talk to my 8-year-old grandson,
right,
it's his TV.
Yeah.
He said he wanted to watch YouTube. I brought him over to the TV, and he said, what are you doing? He said, give me your phone. I can watch it there. So the concept of viewership is different, and algorithms only give me things I'm interested in.
Right.
And because I only see things I'm interested in, I do not have a broader view of life. And as a result of that, anybody who disagrees with me, I don't know how to deal with that.
Right.
I've never seen anything that alters from my views.
Right.
And that leads to a totalitarian kind of approach.
Right. But then, yeah, exactly. Thank you. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, then if I hear people, but I hear what you also just said. Thank you. Like, so they're not on the TV, but this is it. But this is the TV.
That's the
TV. That's the TV. Right.
Yeah.
Where you can just get but not even just a TV where I might have to watch something I don't want to watch,
right,
or sit through it.
Right. I only watch what I want to watch when I want to watch it.
That is right. And
and if you talk to an 8-year-old, a 15-year-old, any of those kids, that's their world.
It is.
And if you say to them something to the effect of, I'll say things like, "Where'd you buy a dress for one of their events here on campus?" They'll say, "Well, I got it. I went to Amazon, then I went to this place, then I went to this place online. I had 7 of them sent to me. I tried them on. I sent 6 back, and that's what I wore." That's not how your parents shop.
No.
That's not how you shop.
No.
But that's how they shop.
Right.
They live in a very different world.
It's funny you say that, because I do have a 10-year-old and
Yep.
2 8-year-olds.
Yep.
Started late in life, but it is. We have one television in the house.
Uh-huh.
I mean, because I'm older.
Yeah.
So we have one television in the house, and they have days that they're allowed to use screens.
Good.
And days that they're not.
Good.
And that's our way of trying to manage the situation.
It's hard.
It is hard, because if you take it away from them, they reach a certain age, 16 or 17, and then they just dive in and go away, or something, like you've made it taboo.
This is not a great time to be a parent. It's tough.
It is a little
it's very,
tough.
very challenging.
But I'm wondering, I haven't talked to them about yet, and it's making me think about it. Why are they interested in what they're interested? Like, because how do you market, to that population?
Let's go back to toothpaste.
Yes, sir.
Next time you're at CVS, or next time you're at Food Line, or wherever you go shop, I challenge you to go to buy, if I sent you to the store and say, buy a tube of Crest, how do you do that? Because you get to the store, and they got Crest, regular Crest for bad gums, Crest with scope, Crest with extra scope, Crest with cinnamon flavor, Crest with wintergreen flavor. Like, how in God's name? And that's a result of that whole algorithmic, I'm going to make products that are positioned specifically for a specific target to deliver a promise to that target.
Right.
And now the media allows me to target. And go back to your youth. Go back to when cable TV started.
Yeah, it just started.
Where mom would be in one room watching the cooking channel, you'd be in one room watching, or your dad would be in another room watching sports, you'd be in another room watching cartoons, your sister would be watching the Hallmark Channel. And cable TV in the 80s really was the beginning of that whole media segmentation, which then, and all the people who were in charge of that all moved to California.
Right.
They all invested in Facebook, in Google, and all those companies,
Right.
and took that mindset of segmentation even deeper.
Yeah.
And if you watch the people who created Google, who created Facebook, what's it called? The Social Dilemma. There's a movie, but they're all like devastated by the fact that they created this medium that's harmful.
Right.
And it's almost like, it reminds me of me in high school and college smoking.
Right.
I used to smoke in class even. And it was like, that's probably not good for you. It's fine. My grandfather told me, you can smoke a pack a day, you'll be fine. And it's not fine.
No.
And they found out, and I think you're going to find the same thing with phones and usage of them. You're going to find the same problem where this generation's going to realize, oh my God, I'm addicted, I got to quit.
Right. And I think you're right. I've been studying some things in other classes about a woman named Zuboff. Wrote a book about Google, surveillance capitalism.
Yeah, right.
And she's really heavy-handed with it, by the way.
Yeah, it's bad.
But even if you just take her for half of what she's saying, it's pretty hardcore. You don't have to dive in completely, but even if you just understand, some of the, you do obviously because you just were talking about it, but just some of the premise, it's like, wow, we're kind of, it even reminds me like almost like a sci-fi movie, like that you would watch back in the 80s.
Yeah, it's of that genre. I don't know where it all goes. I'm not sure. I've been surprised that the government hasn't come in and regulated it more. When I used to do advertising in New York and we tried to do a television commercial, it had to go through all our lawyers. It had to go through all the lawyers at the network. We had to change everything on an ongoing basis.
Yeah.
Now, you and I can create a podcast and put it anywhere and say whatever we want.
For the most part, sort of. I mean, yes, sir. That's funny. You're right. I mean, this is kind of vetted through the boat ride and the University of Richmond. Yeah. But because I just wanted to keep this above board and not give anybody any.
For sure,
but you're right. We could. I mean, very easily.
There's no government regulations on here's what you can't say on a Facebook post. Here's what you can't. And so the more that the freedom of speech, First Amendment, and social media needs some review.
Right.
But don't forget who has the most money today and who has the most people lobbying the government.
Right. That's right.
That ain't going to happen.
No, I know it, because that's ironically enough, and I'm not trying to even promote Zuboff's book. Yeah. I just used her in a paper I wrote.
Yeah.
And but the funny, not funny, but ironically enough, one of her, when she sets all this up, she does go back to the late 90s. When the Communications Act and all this was going down, and there was, laissez-faire to say the least.
Right.
With the internet boom. And the Clinton administration at that time, and it carried on, but it has opened the door to all sorts of things.
I'm pretty optimistic about it all. I think at some point someone will come in and regulate it.
Right.
And it may take a generation or so, but at some point they're going to go, we can't keep doing this.
Well, I've been hearing, I listen to everything. I mean, I listen to Fox News.
Yeah,
I listen to, I listen to everything. Just to hear many different sides of the story. And honestly, I read like The Economist.
Yeah, it's the best.
It is.
It's
just
the best. Yeah.
and this is just me telling my personal business, but to follow, I thought, current events. Because usually money somewhere in there dictates current events.
Right.
Somewhere. It takes money to go to war even.
Yeah.
So that's helps me to understand things if I feel I'm in a bubble. But I've even been hearing now recently, a Democrat right now. I think she's probably gauging herself to run in 28. Michigan senator. I see her face now in a lot of places.
I saw her.
Yeah, you've seen her too. Her name I know because she did the Alyssa Slotkin.
Yeah. She's good.
She's a new centrist. She is
An
a
Army
new
veteran.
She's even a CIA.
Yeah, right. They're good.
Yeah, she is. Anyway, I'm just listening and I'm watching, and I come from a military family, so I'm just listening and watching and understanding. But she was starting to say some of what you're talking about, where just on the simple fact that with AI, they feel like they can't do what they did with the internet.
Right.
And I let it just be deregulated.
Mark Warner from Virginia is saying the same thing.
Right.
So, there are people out there trying, but it will happen because it can't go on like this. And notice TikTok, which has most college students addicted to it, owned by China.
Right.
Notice how the government was like, oh, you got to sell it. No, take your time. Oh, we're going to give it 6 more weeks, and now
it is. I think it's 90-day increments.
Yeah. So and there's some freshman college student in his or her dorm room creating the next generation of all this.
Right.
So. And those that understand how to use it effectively gain power.
That's true. I understand. Whew. Man, so and this is great. Thank you for participating with me in this journey, because you're also showcasing our community and how smart our community is, and that's important.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Which is, the big word, if you talk to students today, is the word authenticity. And I'm not sure our students really understand that so much, but if you look from a marketing perspective, you find, if you watch, I was in New York with my daughter and wanted to get coffee, and I said, let's go to Starbucks over here, and she goes, who drinks Starbucks anymore?
They have lost their authenticity.
And so it's like, we got to go to this place over here. The beans are from Brooklyn where they roast them, blah, blah. And then even in Richmond, Virginia, you got to go to Ironclad because the coffee's better, or Blanchard, which is a UR graduate, MBA. So people during the pandemic wanted to support local firms that seems to have extended, but I'm fascinated by what younger people call authentic. And they see these influencers on TikTok or on Instagram stories, and they go, well, they're authentic. And I'm like, they're getting paid $100,000 to tell you that they're not that authentic.
It's one of the reasons. Well, there's 2 reasons I show up in my plumbing outfit is because usually I'm working. I'm a plumber here, and I'm working, and I'll set up and quickly, well, I'm done with this, I'll quickly put my stuff away and go back to work.
Right.
And I'm not going to change into but that's ironically. So, that's how but it's funny because that goes back to my question about what I've been understanding about to you when I asked you about social marketing. What you're asking about authenticity, I believe, ties into this idea of social marketing and the circular economy. as opposed to a linear economy. And we're always, I think, going to be we're Western people in the Western world.
Yeah.
We're taught linear, but I think they're trying to introduce more of a circular idea, and the coffee, the beans, and things like that. Free trade, organic was like a beginning of that, even though that's at times been debunked. But there's still a free trade movement as well,
Yeah, for sure.
and that all ties into this social marketing. Some of it is even being called degrowth. I was going to ask you more about that if you understood, but all of this still comes back to an authenticity that, that these, at least millennials are now younger, but at least millennials for sure. And I'm an Xer. I'm not a millennial. I'm an Xer, but my wife is a millennial, and I've learned a lot through her in some ways. And one of the reasons I have young children for being old, but this authentic is like a sustainability. It's got issues of supposedly. I mean, I'm not telling you like
it's defined differently generationally.
Right.
Because if you look at Gen Z,
right,
they will say authentic is this. They will say, if I see someone talking to me on my phone, it's authentic. If you talk to an aging baby boomer like me,
sure,
I'll watch the 6:30 news and see Skyrizi or whatever the medicine is for whatever, and that's authentic to me.
Right.
So I think each generation defines authenticity differently. I have more hope for your kids and my grandkids because I think they are. I think Gen Z is sort of a lost generation. Not as bad as I used to think that of Gen X. But, but
we were for a while.
But I think you guys made a strong comeback. But the kids of Gen X, which are a little older than yours, which are college students now, have the same qualities of loss. I think the pandemic did it to them.
Maybe so.
But I also think the age of misinformation did it to them.
Yes. And we are still, as we are in this advanced technological age, information age, postmodern information age, and I don't mean to sound like an academic right now, even though we're steadfast in it, we have still so much misinformation.
Oh my God!
It is amazing, amazing, and I don't claim to be the most factual person on the planet, but that's kind of why I'm doing some of this as well, is to just uncover and debunk things that maybe I thought I believed.
Right.
As well, at least coming from a solid blue collar foundation, because I'm the fourth generation, at least, maybe longer, of just a blue collar working.
I think this is my son talking, not as much me, but based on the cost of going to college 10 years from now,
right?
What's this going to be, $140,000 to go to U of R?
Right.
I think you're going to see more and more the growth of blue collar. I think you're going to see more trades people. I mean, I'd love going to my class and saying, I'll say something like, what do you think a Chick-fil-A manager makes? And they go like 30,000 or 40,000. I said, no, they make close to 200,000. And they're like, oh, are you kidding me? I said, what do you think somebody at Wawa who runs a Wawa store makes? Like 180,000. Right. So what are you sitting here for? You going to go be an accountant and make 50?
Right.
Like, seriously?
No, even the university system is not the private sector.
No.
Ironically enough.
So I think cost is really going to hurt it may not Richmond, because it was smart enough to get a strong endowment. It markets in the Northeast to Connecticut, New Jersey, Long Island types. So it'll be fine. But Virginia Tech, but LSU, but Ole Miss, I mean, big state schools are going to struggle.
Yeah, Oklahoma's
going to struggle.
I know it.
Already are.
Right. Right. I mean, yes, sir. Yeah, but then, ironically enough, there is still this. Maybe not so much now. Maybe that's what I don't have the best data on it, and I think it's growing.
Mhm.
And my kids are, I think, Generation Alpha, right?
They are alphas.
They're alphas, not C.
Thank
Because
you.
I started late,
That's good.
It's fine. I was too busy being lost,
Yeah.
But and I'm sorry. Sometimes I thank you, because this has been great, because it's allowed me to jump around, and then sometimes I
Doesn't
will.
bother me.
Yeah, you're doing awesome.
I think one thing to consider for this, and you can edit this out if you want,
It's
but
fine.
I think this podcast has enormous potential. And the reason it has enormous potential is because it's authentic.
Right.
And if you notice, you probably want to edit this part out.
It's fine.
If you notice the kind of communications that come out of universities, where look at our perfect students,
yes,
look
sir.
at our perfect professors.
No, and you're right. You're right. I might. I mean, because I don't want any problems with those people.
That's fine. But the more you can talk about what authentically is happening, I think you'll build an audience.
Yeah, no, and it's yes, sir, and I thank you, because you're actually giving me a compliment, and I hear it very loud and clear, and I do agree with you that I think authenticity does go from generations. I was giving you what I know as a millennial idea of authenticity. From an Xer point of view right now,
Right.
I would say it's just being being true to yourself.
Right.
We had the thing in the in the late '80s, early '90s, not being a sellout, and we showed it, but then we, God bless us all. Friends of mine that I've been friends with for 35 years, they're working at Capital One.
Of course.
And they got tattoos out there. They look like a Yakuza assassin. But they're making, now
right
$300,000 working at Cap One.
Sure.
And that 35-year-old ago person would have been called it a sellout. So they're, and that's fine. We all need to take and make the world go round. And I'm not going to question my friends, people that I know like this, authenticity, but I have tried to, for better or for worse, stay closer to a more bare bones person, trying to stay closer to less affectation.
I'm with you. Yeah.
And that's also me just being an overeducated plumber, ironically enough. But I mean, book smart education, plumber. But academic taught plumber, but and that's what I'm doing with this podcast, as much as I'm trying to get ideas out there, get things out there. This is a great conversation for people who are getting ready to take your class. This is a great conversation for people who have even taken your class. This is a great conversation for someone who doesn't know you in the arts building, to listen to you, and I'm hoping down the road, believe it or not, and I'm just going to say it one more, because I keep saying it until it'll stick, that eventually it's supposed to be this whole destinations and conversations is supposed to be where someone, you can go and interview someone out of the law school, walk right across the green here and interview someone from law school and put it up.
I think it'd be great.
And it just then all of a sudden adds more dimension and conversations to it. It's really a gift to the U of R. And I'm not going to edit this. I just don't know right now if they see it as a gift.
No.
I would hope that eventually they would, but if they don't, I'm still giving it to them nonetheless.
Yeah.
Not to sound all like boohoo or jaded lover or bitter. I'm not.
I don't know. I'm not close enough to know how they perceive gifts. If it has financial value, it's probably a more perceived happy gift. But there is, as you noticed, there's a disconnect between the various schools here.
Sure.
and any attempt to try to bring them together should be viewed as should be rewarded in some way, shape, or form.
Well, thank you, sir. I have I have a lot of backing. People are into this.
Yeah,
the whole SPCS, and
Good.
a friend of mine in the law school helps me edit these things, and then it's going on the boat right on top of that.
Yeah,
so
good.
there's and because I don't belong to any school, I mean I do belong to SPCS, but I'm not. I'm not. I don't have a building. I don't have I can move free, and I do. I've had 60 buildings, by the way.
Yeah, good.
But anyway, it's allowed me to start conversations with people and things and do this.
Good.
Thank you.
Of course, it was a pleasure.
Yeah. This one is good in many different ways. They're all different. They're all different.
See, the interesting thing it fascinates me about our students, because we're at that time of the year where I advise incoming freshmen.
Right.
And you should listen to, well, I'm going to be an accounting major and I'm going to go work here and here are the courses I'm going to take, blah, blah, blah. I said, and I will go, how old are you? I'm 17. And I'm like, you may want to take dance. You may want to take chemistry.
Right.
You're coming here to expand your mind.
Right.
But I won't make money. I won't get a job, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, dude, you got to calm down. And so the more I think these kids who have been so programmed,
yes,
and have, their parents are spending a lot of money, their parents want a return on the investment, they're under enormous pressure.
I was driving, I drive through, yes, sir, and that's a whole. That's a whole. No, but that's a very serious thing that I don't know if upper middle class and upper middle class want to talk about.
They don't want to talk.
But I cut through St. Christopher's.
Yeah.
And to get here from Patterson, and I had to take a detour today, and I because there was fire and police and something was going down.
Yeah.
I hope that anyway, someone's badly somewhere in a bad way. When I leave, it'll all be done. But I couldn't get through the cut through, so I went around and I saw this giant banner hanging on this person's right there at St. Christopher's, right across from their parking lot.
Yeah,
because I had to go around, and it was like a huge banner hanging on someone's private fence about a suicide hotline, and it was. I didn't take offense. I was more kind of like, wow, this is because coming. I mean, GIs have had a long history of it, but what I mean is
it's bad.
Yeah,
and I was once. I think I was at Weinstein working out, and the guy who used to be in charge of CAPS, which is he was there, and I said something to him. He retired. He's subsequent. I said, I think I'm going to give my first year students the first day in F on their first paper, just so they can get it over with.
Right.
Just so they can fail something and go, it's okay, I failed and I'm still okay. He said, please don't do that. We don't have enough staff to counsel them. And I think he was kidding and I was kidding. But these kids are so uptight.
Yeah.
And
but then, like you say, there's so much money riding on it.
There's a lot of money riding on it and a lot of pressure and generational pressure. And I've seen this in other industries. When I worked at Newsweek, to buy a page in Newsweek, I think in 1990, just one page once was $100,000.
Right.
And it was like, guys, this ain't going to work.
Right.
I mean, advertisers aren't going to spend $100,000 for one page. And so they subsequently have gone they're not out of business, but they're not what they once were.
Right.
And you're getting to that price point now.
Yes.
It's too much pressure on all these kids.
Right.
Way too much.
Agreed. And it is beyond dangerous, and so that's where some of this degrowth and
the phone,
the phone.
You isolate yourself on TikTok, and you're depressed, and everybody looks happy, and
it's definitely not authentic.
It's not.
No, it's not. I mean, I know it.
It's the most inauthentic thing they look at.
That's.
And then I'll say something, and I'll stop here. I'll say something like,
you can keep what's good.
It's like, why don't you believe advertising on TV? Well, it's not authentic.
I know.
And then I'll say, what, you believe it on your phone? Yeah, it's authentic.
Right. Or like these YouTubers.
Yeah,
that it makes me now want to go back and have some conversations to my kids about editing.
Yeah.
And show how editing works, because oh boy, well,
it's tough.
It is tough, and I enjoy this because I think if we can market certain things, if we can market toothpaste or freedom, or if we can market ideologies in toothpaste, and I think maybe we can market, I guess, and it doesn't matter. I'm not talking to you per se. I'm just saying this out loud. That maybe we do need to market degrowth in a way.
Yeah, you do.
You do. And then find out how we, market degrowth. And that is something that I've stumbled on over the last couple of days. Not real. I mean, well, it was called conservation in the 70s, I guess. But so it's always been there.
It's tough. It's a tough one. I worked with the National Audubon Society for a decade. It's tough. It's tough. It's a tough one. But we can talk about that at some other time.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
It was a pleasure.
I enjoyed it. Anytime.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I will, and I will try to sit in on one of your.
Anytime. I'll let you know.